Can I ask you about patches?
Sure.
Okay. I had Danny D'Lo on the first time. Great guest, great guy. Uh, there were certain patches that I brought up to him, and he would say, "Pass, don't want to talk about it." And of course, I respected it.
Sure.
So you could do the same thing if you'd like.
Yeah,
Okay. Um, because all respect, anybody who comes on my channel, I give the most respect.
I appreciate that.
Obviously, they have the 1% patch,
Hmm.
and people say that the the old wives' tale is that the club, the Outlaws, were the original ones that used that patch. Is that accurate?
I honestly don't know that to be the truth. What I do know is that Sonny Barger was actually a part of the help of the making of the 1% diamond. So I don't know if it was the Hells Angels. I don't know who it necessarily was, but I do know that Sonny Barger was a huge part of it.
Okay. So the 1% patch. Why don't you just explain what that is? Just
Sure. So
pretend
you
like nobody knows anything about
Right. So
motorcycles.
in the motorcycle club world, you have a 1% or a 1%er patch, and they're not the same. They kind of look the same, except one has a little tiny ER at the end of it.
That's right. That's right.
So the thing is you've got a 1% club where the second you patch in, everyone is a diamond. Everyone is a 1%. That is a 1% club. So that just has 1%. And
Gotcha.
then if they're in a 1%er club, that means that once they get fully patched, they don't have to wear the diamond. They haven't earned their diamond yet. You know what I
Ah,
mean? So there are some organizations that give them, you earned your diamond the second you got patched in. And then certain points, there are like other clubs that go, hey, you don't have to show that level of commitment yet. Just show us that you're willing to get it down as part of the, brotherhood and whatnot. And then you can decide if you want to bump up from there.
I see. I see.
Right.
What clubs do you know of that will give you the patch immediately, the 1% patch once you've done prospecting? And what clubs you have to earn it even after prospecting?
Sure. There's clubs like, for instance, let's say the Outlaws, Mongols, uh, Hell's Angels. Those are 1% clubs. Now there's 1%ers across all over the place. There are certain clubs that have only a small group of them and some a big group. I'll give an example of like the Thug Riders MC, who's actually been recently in the news, and I've been reporting on it. But for instance, their 1% patch is a one that you earn after you've been in the organization and
Hmm.
patched in. Yeah.
Okay. Is
And
there
so that's
more?
1% of the motorcycle club law abiding society.
Right.
1% of them are not law abiding. They say they're outlaws, so they embrace the culture of being a 1%er.
Right. Is there more respect when you have that patch that says 1% with the ER?
Either way, I think both of them are looked at pretty much the same. And I would even say that the majority of guys in the club world wouldn't even necessarily know the little nuance of what I just told you.
Ah,
I think unless they're in those clubs, I don't really think they pay attention to that level. Yeah.
what kind of things would you think like uh, would they have to do in order to earn that after being a full patch member?
What kind of things they have to do?
Yeah.
Oh, well, for instance, a lot of these clubs, they don't do what the old school thing, like,
Right.
oh, you
Right.
gotta like here's a pistol, you go do this job and
Right. 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 Right.
go grab this
Yeah.
and
It's not
pick
the
up that
80s
blanket.
anymore.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that doesn't happen. I mean, it does to a very small extent, but
Right.
on the grand scale, no, man. It's just a matter of showing that you're dedicated to the cause.
So could it be something like time in the club? Like, oh,
Yeah.
after 2 years, you can get your patch or something to that
Yeah,
effect,
and the
showing
club
that you're a loyal,
decides.
faithful member or something to that
Yeah,
effect.
the club will decide like where you stand in that regard. You know what I mean? For
Okay.
sure, they'll do the votes or whatever the case is. Yeah,
All
but yeah,
right.
it's mainly time and just loyalty that you're not going to go somewhere else. That you're
Okay.
you're you're showing the love to this nation and this nation only.
Okay. Uh, the three patch on the back.
Mm-hmm.
From what I understand, when you have three patches, or bottom rocker, top rocker, and your center patch, that is strictly for MC clubs.
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
it would be a strict MC thing, and some would argue that is a strict outlaw MC club thing.
Okay.
You know what I mean? That's the way it was created.
Mhm.
Very much not the way it is now. Three-piece clubs are all around that are family clubs, mom and pop clubs, whatever the case is. Traditional MCs that are three pieces now. Some of the most hardcore, there's, I mean, for instance, you've got the Vagos, who's a one piece setup,
Oh, yeah, that's
they don't
right. That's right.
necessarily need to have three pieces.
Right.
But yeah, there are some nuances there with different clubs and stuff like that. But yeah, it did start off as an outlaw thing though, but now it's kind of more widely used ever since Sons of Anarchy, really.
Ah, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
it kind of glamorized that. Yeah.
So Sons of Anarchy is kind of like the Goodfellas for for the bikers.
Totally, totally.
Yeah,
It is.
people like
And I think you
really.
know that. Yeah, I think you know that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. People
Yeah.
really wanted to be bikers after that show, and I'll be the first to admit I wasn't a fan. I
Yeah,
know.
well, it's just true influence of whether let's say it works and gets you into like you want to be a part of this club life or whatever. Like I'm not so against it because it brings people in, but it attracts good and bad from
Yeah.
doing that,
No,
because
I wasn't a fan of the show. I tried
but I
watching
do
it.
know that. I do know
Oh,
but I was getting at from my point of like
okay.
I don't think it's all bad people like came from like SOA, Sons of Anarchy and all that
Yeah,
stuff. I don't think it's necessarily a terrible thing, but it did come with its own set of problems. But you weren't into it, huh?
I didn't like the show at all. I just
Dang.
thought it was so over the top.
It
I
was.
I have to when I'm watching a show, I need some reality in my fantasy.
Yeah, you need a
If
little bit of reality.
if
Yeah.
it's too much fantasy, I can't do it. So
Yep.
I'll tell you the scene that killed it for me when I stopped watching it.
Let's hear it.
There's a scene in the first season where they break out a member that's in a paddy wagon with the police in it, and they
Mm-hmm.
have a shootout and they break the guy out of the paddy wagon and they just go about their
Like
day after
nothing
that.
happened.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I'm like, okay, I can't watch this
Yeah,
anymore.
there's
This
no
is
way. There's
yeah,
no way.
yeah,
That
right.
doesn't happen.
No,
Like
yeah.
nobody kills all these feds and gets away with it
Yeah.
multiple times a day. That doesn't happen. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I
That
just
doesn't happen.
can't.
Yeah.
It might have been great after that, but I never gave it a chance after
No,
that.
I get that. I get that. It was like that all the way through. All
Okay.
7 seasons or
When it's
whatever.
so
Then.
over the top, I just can't get it. When shows are like The Sopranos was a little bit over the top,
Yes.
but they made it as real as possible. They put a lot of time, and coming from being Italian from the East Coast, from New York, now living in Jersey, they put a lot of time and effort into the little details
Yes.
that only somebody like myself would know.
Yes, and that's the point when we're doing movies and stuff, why you need to have someone from that life
Right.
in that, that's directing or being a part and saying, look, we need to have this here because this is what we do in the club life. We have stuff like this, we have this little piece, we have this, on our vest, we do it this way. Yeah, you need to have those guys. And it seems like, even though there were advisors on SOA, it seems like that it really didn't come through. There's certain like Biker Boys, for instance. Black Dragon was the guy that I do another show with. He did a movie back in the early 2000s that was very successful, wildly successful. But he was an advisor, and he was the guy that set everything up. Like every scene had certain things in the background, or whatever the case was, that the life actually had. And the movie directors aren't going to know that stuff.
Yeah. No, you're 100% right, and that's why I think Sopranos and Breaking Bad was very accurate
Yes.
too.
Yes.
And unfortunately, and people tend to really love the over the top stuff. Well, for some reason, I just can't do it because people say things all the time. You got to watch the show; it's great. And I'm like, I try it. I'm like, it's too over the top. I can't do it.
Yep.
Anyway, back to the patches. 13. This is the one Danny D'Lo would not answer. He's like, I'd rather not talk about that one. I said, okay, fine. I've heard 13 is you are part of the mother chapter. I've heard 13 is more about a drug thing. What is the number 13?
So where it originally stemmed from was the 13th letter in the alphabet stood for M. And, that was for methamphetamine back then.
Ah,
So now here's the thing. Now, a lot of clubs now that rock the 13 don't necessarily mean it that way whatsoever. A lot of clubs now have different traditions. Let's say, hey, all the guys from Mother chapter have a 13 diamond on, for instance. Like,
mm,
there are these nuances that happen, but yeah, that was why that happened, why it
ah,
started.
okay,
Yeah.
okay,
And then it morphed into what it is today. Yeah.
okay. Some some bikers I see have nomads.
Yep.
What exactly does that mean?
No mailing address. That's what that means. So that means that you are not a part of any chapter or anything like that. You are to a nomadic chapter, and you don't answer to usually to like other presidents and other stuff like that that you normally would. The nomads are really the guys that handle internal club beefs, internal like if guys aren't getting along, the nomads might be get sent to your chapter to handle that business, whatever. Like you guys aren't seeing eye to eye in politics or whatever, the nomads can come in and break this whole thing down and say, no, we're breaking this, you're doing this wrong, we're going to pull patches, we're going to do whatever the case is. It does
Really?
happen. Yeah. Yeah. Nomads traditionally, you have to be in the club. It's kind of like one of those what they say gravy train jobs, which I don't think it is, but you have
Mhm.
to be in the club. Traditionally, you have to be in the club for 10 years or 15 years minimum.
Ah,
That's how
okay.
that goes. And usually the older, wiser guys got those jobs,
Ah, I
those
see.
positions.
Okay, okay. So it's more of like a counselor kind of position.
Yeah, it very much is. But nomads, those are great for the guys that really do ride the roads, that don't want to report to the same chapter every whatever, let's say
Mm.
twice a week or once a week or whatever the case is. Instead of having that, they're always out. They don't have to do that.
Now, let's say
They
you
just
have let's say you're a nomad and
mm,
you want to go to one another chapter's party or barbecue or whatever. Do you just show up or do you have to call ahead or
definitely just no showing up unless you were invited. Even if you were invited, it's always
even if
very
it's the
smart.
same, even if it's the same club?
Okay, so if it's the same club, you can just show up if you want.
Okay.
But even doing that, it's just like showing up to your best friend's house without texting or calling them. You can do it, but they're gonna probably look at you going like, dude, like, why didn't you like call or text me first? Like, so I can
Yeah,
be kind of
right, right,
prepared
right.
here,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
but
Okay.
when it comes down to like other clubs, yeah, communication is very, very important. And you can't just show up on the set anywhere without, some sort of actual invite or something like that. Yeah.
Okay, okay. Two more patch questions and then
Sure.
we'll move on. Filthy Few.
Mhm.
Seen that patch as well.
Yeah, Filthy
Well,
Few is a certain club. I'm not going to say whose. Is it's usually regards to a club that gets down and handles business and a story. Like those are the guys that will handle some sort of beef that may be going on within a territory or something like that. Those are the guys that aren't really scared to get in front of the law like that.
yeah, so they're like the cavalry. All
Yeah,
right, all right, all
damn
right.
straight. Yep.
All right. So, okay, last one. There I see a lot of different color wings. I used to think they were mustaches, but they're
They do
wings.
almost look like my mustache,
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 But they come in green, red. The colors I've seen: green, red, brown.
Oh yeah.
And what I don't know what other colors there
Red,
are. Red,
there's
green, brown, and I don't know what other colors are.
yellow,
Okay.
uh there's a handful of them. But anyways, those are all of them come down to some sort of sexual deviance, right? So for instance, let's just say, the yellow one, that I believe that one, I can't remember totally, but that's one where you have a woman pee on you and it's like video recorded during sex, or you have somebody that was there that is, because all of it has to be witnessed by a club member. They have to actually witness it. Yes, that's the only way that you can get it is with a witness. So like the red one is like eating a girl out that's on her rag, you know. Yeah. And that's
Oh.
being a witness. You have to be you have to have someone that witnessed that to have those patches. Yeah.
Oh, all right. So okay, a green one.
I forget what green is, to be honest.
I think green is an STD. I'm pretty sure green is.
And I think purple is not that anyone actually has it, right? But necrophilia.
Holy shit.
There's all sorts of ones, man. There's all
Uh,
sorts of ones.
and black ones.
I forget, man. I
I
forget.
think that's being with a black girl, actually, from what I
Yeah,
understand.
it,
A
it
little bit of
probably is.
research.
It
Yeah.
probably is. Yeah.
Now, here's the thing. Why would like the other patches like 13 or 1%, 1%er, you know, your rock, your bottom rocker, your middle patch, blah, blah. Those are like all earned and like respected and like you earned it. Why would you want a yellow mustache knowing some broad peed on you and everybody watched? Or a yellow
I think
wings
it's just
around.
almost like the like I'm super manly, you know what I mean? Like
Really?
come check it. That's the way it's like portrayed anyways. Like look at what the fuck I got. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like
Okay.
yeah. I mean, listen, man, if your club gets down like that, cool. Get down like that. But not every club gets down like that either. You know, I don't
What?
have those patches.
Yeah, I should hope not. Christ.
Yeah.
You know what's funny is that the Italian mafia is the complete opposite. Going down on a girl, period, is forbidden.
Yes, I have heard of that.
Like,
I've never actually confirmed
yeah.
that with anybody, but I've actually heard that because it is a sign of a type of submission, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. And it's like and they there's a scene in The Sopranos about it.
Okay,
Where
so that makes sense. Yeah, that's right. That's right. It's
yeah,
been a lot.
yeah,
I've only watched it like one time or twice, you know,
yeah.
many years ago.
Okay. Let's move on from that. That's interesting. That's very interesting.
Totally.